Hello and welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of October 21st through the 27th in 2024. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back if you've been before, and welcome for the first time if you are new. So I will talk a little bit about some astrology aspects this week, where the moon is. Then we'll look at the cards, and I am using the Crow deck if you would like to learn about the tarot. And then we'll finish with a card from the Tree Keeper's Oracle. As always with a general reading, take what resonates for you, what feels right, and let go of the rest of it. And you keep working with your own intuition in that way. And please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. That would be wonderful. It's free, and I would really appreciate that. So it's an interesting week. There's a lot of feminine energy in the moons, because we're beginning with Cancer. Well, actually Gemini on Monday, but then later in that afternoon it will move into Cancer. So that's about the home. That's where the moon, rules Cancer. Sorry for the wet hair too. It's a busy day. But anyway, we'll have that moon in Cancer, so drawn to home, drawn to family, drawn to cooking, nurturing, things like that. And then by Sunday, we have the moon in Virgo, which is also a feminine sign, and this time very earthy. So Cancer, of course, is water, the feminine intuition. And the Virgo, you get to the earthy, the practical, getting things done. It's nurturing in a different kind of way. I always think of Virgo as an energy that has a discipline to it, but will remind you to eat your vegetables, take your walk, get your rest, get practical things done as well. It can be very discerning also. All right, then on Monday, the 21st, we have Mercury trining Saturn. This is a pretty serious energy because that's Saturn's nature. It is, speaking of discipline, it is a great disciplinarian. It really likes for things to be pragmatic. So it can be a day where the energy feels serious and you want to be methodical. It can be a very patient energy, which is good. Mercury is not all about patience. So that's where the Saturn influence comes in, because Mercury is very quick. It likes to travel. It likes to bring information. It has, it's where we get the word mercurial. It can change quickly. But when it's trining with Saturn, and that is an easy aspect, it brings in that methodical, patient energy. So it'd be a good day to clear your desk and make long-term plans. Then on Tuesday, we get the Sun squaring Pluto. Now the squares to me are really the most difficult. Also that day we have the Sun leaving Libra and entering Scorpio. So this can be a good energy to change up what isn't working. That Pluto will bring a kind of discrimination and discernment, and the Sun will shed light on things. So that's where that kind of energy, look, it's something that isn't working and get rid of it, and get rid of what you don't need, and then focus on integration, integrity, cooperation, things like that, and the highest good for all. And that would be using both the energy of the Sun and Pluto to their best advantage. Lastly, in terms of our aspects this week, we have Mars sextiling Uranus on Thursday the 24th. Now, sextiles are, a good, pretty easy energy flow. Mars is a planet of action. It's of a strong masculine energy. Uranus is a little bit, I always think of it as a bit more androgynous, and it rules Aquarius, but it's eclectic. It's out there. So this could be an eventful day, an eventful energy. The pace could accelerate. We could feel very positive, very assertive, very active, and we might want to explore the unknown. We might want to invent, be dynamic, and brave. Those are all mixtures of the Mars and Uranus qualities from those planets. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm using the Crow deck for our reading of cards today, and the first thing that jumped out at me was that we have 4 majors, and we also have a couple of 4s. So 4 is the Earth number, so there's a stability to this. There's some balance between masculine and feminine as well, which I believe we had last week also. And well, let's just dive in. It begins with the Page of Swords. So there's information, a desire to break up an old thought form energy, to bring in something that is new. It's almost like, you know, clearing the smoke. You get that sort of smoky color to this card in this deck, and actually in other ones as well. And that movement, it feels, you know, is showing through the wings of our crow here, and being in flight, changing things up so that we can see what's new, see things from a different perspective, and maybe get rid of a bad mood. On Tuesday, we get that first major, and you can see this is the Wheel of Fortune. So things are changing. We're about a month into fall now, and we're getting close to the election in the US. I do think there's a momentum. I was looking at the planets. I mean, we had Jupiter go retrograde recently. We had Pluto go direct. So Pluto is very close. It's a slow mover, but it's very close to coming back into Aquarius. I've talked about this before, the power to the people. You know, the humanitarian energy, the new, the different, bringing things forward for the collective. So I feel like this is you know, trying to warm us up for that. And again, this week with kind of this earth energy, and, you know, as we move into Scorpio later in the week, as the sun does, Scorpio is very transformative too. It is ruled by Pluto, and it likes to get stuff done as well. So that could be part of this change. And we go right from that 1, 10 is 1 in numerology, to the 2, the actual 2 in our majors, and this is the High Priestess. So very feminine, very intuitive, very psychic, can be about secrets. So there's always a little bit more mundane vibration to a card, and then the higher vibration. So the higher vibration is, you know, that energy, like you see the veil here, and usually the High Priestess is, in a way, is behind the veil. But when we are more in touch with that psychic, intuitive, deeply feminine energy, the veil gets lifted, at least momentarily. So what does your deep intuition say? It could be somebody around you, or your very own self. That was our Wednesday. When we get to Thursday, we're back to the sword energy, that mental energy, and this time we have the Knight, which would be the next one. Page and Knight sometimes are Prince and Princess in other decks. Here you have still that crow in flight, still holding a sword, but, you know, over the back of the horse this time, and looking very determined. And it's almost to me like the horse is the representative of the energy, the one that is channeling that energy that the crow is bringing through. So it can be a hasty energy. That's one of the more mundane aspects of this card, is making decisions too quickly. On the other hand, in a higher vibration sort of way, it can get things done. It can bring in a knowing. I'm going to go this direction. This is the action that I need to take. I know how to be effective with my words, my thinking. Because, you know, it's swords, it's going to be a mental energy. Now we turn to our Friday card, and this is our 3rd major of the 4 this week, and it is also a 4 because it's a 13. So death in the tarot and the majors is number 13. And, you know, whenever I'm reading for people, I always say it's not literal death. I mean, it can be, but that's extremely rare. Usually it is a transformation of some sort, a shedding of an old skin so that something new is born. And I will say, though, this time, and it might be just because I was listening to something about Jimmy Carter today, I did think about him. The man turned 100. The man got to cast his vote as he wanted to. And I think that's wonderful. But I also feel, you know, I think pretty logically that that could be getting toward his end, let's say. And this just made me think about that. But again, it can apply in all kinds of ways into a situation. We are, you know, getting close also to the change. I can't remember. That might even be next weekend, or no, I think it's actually the weekend after that. So that's coming up too. Doesn't signal the end of fall or anything, but in a way it does for those of us in the States. With that energy of, okay, we fall back in time. It's a weird concept, but it's what we do. And then our fourth major happens on Saturday, and it is the star. And this brings back up that Uranus, Aquarius kind of energy, because the star is the Aquarius card in the tarot. And I'll do the mundane first. It can be a space cadet, and you know, I'm Aquarius. Sometimes I can be a little spacey, but generally it's more of positive dreaming, visionary. How do you see the future? How can you imagine yourself in that future? And again, with Aquarius, a higher future, a higher vibration for the collective, so that we're all doing better on the planet. And I would hope to include every living thing in that as well. And then Sunday, and this is another reason the 4 really stuck out for me. We have the 4 of Cups. So again, 13, 1 and 3, 4, that earth energy, 4 majors, and now this 4. This 4, it's one of the slippery cards for me in the deck. It's almost like, well, I've got my 3 cups, I had my party, my celebration, my joy. Now, what am I still looking for? Do I feel like something's missing? Am I focusing on that? Am I saturated, satiated? Kind of what's going on. In the Thoth deck, it's called luxury, and it can be like almost too much good feelings, too much indulgence perhaps. So watch your Sunday. And you know, also again, it is stable, so you know, that can be stuck, or that can be feeling pretty solid, and obviously going to be emotional because it's water. You know, psychic, intuitive. All right, so that is our week in terms of the cards, and I would be looking for those moments of stability as a kind of overall read on what's happening here, and letting new information come in, seeing how you want to change and what is your vision, and how that emotionally feels comfortable or uncomfortable by that time you get to that 4 of Cups on Sunday. We will finish with Tree Keeper's Oracle card, as I mentioned, and I think this is interesting to do today also because Keeper of Anger is our card. And, you know, the harmonizing part of me always cringes just a little bit when I get this card because, you know, it's one of those things that can happen where, you know, we can go too far, or I've had experiences, at least in my past, indulging in that energy a little bit too much. So, you know, trying to keep that in balance now and seeing the positive uses of it. Keeper of Anger. Anger is a sacred fire denied to many of us. We're encouraged to be compliant and agreeable, even when it's not in our best interest. And I think there's a lot of energy that way toward female people. Okay, excuse me, I read that. Fire is fuel for change. Too little fire and we risk becoming listless or depressed. Too much and we risk our peace of mind being consumed by wrath, or worse, bitterness. The invitation in this moment is to find the creative power in your anger. What change can you invite? What injustice can you transform into justice through letting anger have its voice? When you allow sacred fire to have its space, you help the phoenix usher what is no longer vital into the ashes in order to be reborn on the wings of new life. So here we have you know, kind of fairy-like creatures, and I believe our phoenix is actually the person, the fairy, and that fire of rebirth coming out of the ashes is there. And this is just resonating in all kinds of ways for me, that, you know, it is a sacred tool, you know, when we use it that way, and how can we bring that to help one another right now. All right, beloveds, I am wishing you the best week possible. Again, please like, share, subscribe. Please reach out for a reading. Let me know if you have questions, and otherwise I will see you again in 7 days.